Hey, I'm Guy Powell here, and welcome to the next episode of the Backstory on Marketing. If you haven't already done so, please visit ProRelevant.com and sign up for all of these episodes and podcasts. I am the author of the newly released book, The Post-COVID Marketing Machine: Prepare Your Team to Win. You can find more information on this at marketingmachine.prorelevant.com. You know, there are so many decisions marketers need to make. Where should they spend their money? Should it be spent on paid digital, social, search, video, affiliate, you name it? And also, how do they all interact? And then whether you're a small or a large marketer, getting this mix right can drive significant incremental sales. Today, we'll be interviewing Travis Lodolinski, also known as Travis Michael of Trav Media, and he is a branding and messaging expert. So I'm looking forward to learning a lot about that as it relates to how to really drive sales through your marketing investments. So let me tell you a little bit about Travis. Travis is a graduate of Waynesburg University in specializing in digital media and graphic design. He's the creator of Trav Media Group, which was established in 2017, and he's a Toastmasters trained public speaker on many topics such as leadership, marketing, technology, and just about everything else. He works with local and national clients, providing rich media marketing services, including marketing research, analytics, social media management, branding, and messaging. And most important, he has fun in coaching and mentoring youth football, baseball, and wrestling. And I will admit, I was a coach myself, and I never had so much fun coaching my son and his soccer team and his baseball team. Travis, welcome.
It's a pleasure to be here, Guy. I'm truly thankful to be on here, and we've had so many interesting conversations outside of just recording that I was like, we need to be recording. But no, I'm really excited to share some of the what really started um, my vision of media and marketing and where it came from. And honestly, I'm I'm a comic book nerd. I love comics. And
Uh-oh.
what I really learned from comics is that while my school teachers were trying to shove books down my throat, I learned that an image is worth 1,000 words, if not more. And then all you see is little wham, splack. You know what's going on. And then it triggers a different part of the brain where you're going, you're kind of envisioning the animation of that actually going on from that picture. So it's whenever I talk about rich media, it's being able to take your vision and apply the story behind it, and that becomes your brand story. And your brand story should be deep in your customer, your market, and your product. Those three things need to talk and communicate as you develop your message.
Absolutely. And I like your analogy there with the comics, because you're so right. A picture can tell 1,000 words. So then stepping back into your comic days, and maybe a little later than that. So tell us your backstory on marketing. How did you get started in marketing?
Yeah, well, I saw, while I was taking design classes, I really I wasn't gearing myself to be an art teacher. I wasn't gearing myself to put my artwork in museums, although I'm still very talented at some other crafts and modeling things. And it I saw that there was another step that needed to happen in order for someone to even want to buy your stuff. And that's where marketing comes in. And I always, with marketing, it's kind of people want to buy, but they don't want to be sold. And I've had so many interesting sales jobs that I'm like, if this company did their marketing correctly, they wouldn't have a sales problem. And that's kind of where that comes in. Then you can tag on advertising. Well, if they did advertising right, well, then they probably wouldn't need, so it it's not even just that you advertise. Again, it comes down to your message. Why are people looking for your product or service? Who are they? What do they do that makes them in search of your product or service? Whenever you go to the store to buy a hammer, you don't actually need a hammer. You need a nail to build a house, to build a fort. It's that type of mindset can shift. You being able to look through your buyer's eyes and figure out what it is that they're thinking. What are some common, some people may come back and say, maybe it's too much. Maybe there's, what are the, if you're in like a sales mode, right? You're trying to understand what qualities make your product the best, right? Is it your turnaround time? My coaches have taught me, and not me, that because you're kind of speaking to the choir at this point, is you can either sell on pricing or you can sell on brand. But if you're in a pricing war, you're just going to continue to drop and continue to drop and continue to drop, and get your ROI then just becomes lower. But if you increase your or deepen their why, when you deepen their why, then it becomes they will come to you no matter the price.
That is so true, and I really like your statement too. Early on, you said people don't have a sales problem; they usually have a marketing problem, and that is so true. And and I do like your point. You never hear anybody talking about a brand war. It's always a price war, and everybody loses on a price war. But on a brand war, technically everybody can win if everybody is growing their brand. Then the value of their products and their services goes up, and they can charge higher prices, get higher margins, and then win the war in the end. I really like your points there. That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, I just saw real quick. I just saw a case study. It was Coca-Cola and Pepsi literally had the same ad and just changed it, and it was just kind of funny. So it was it was I think it was a can of Coke with a Pepsi, like it was like a Pepsi cape, but it looked like the can, right? So it looked like the can was kind of unraveling, but it looked like a cape, and it was like something about someone wearing a costume for Halloween, and then that was one company's, and then the other company says, everybody wants to be a hero. So it was like, right, so it was like the same image, and it was just the two iterations, and how even if you take a look at rap wars, and some obviously have turned out bad, but if they're increasing each other's popularity because now they're they're kind of at each other. Well, guess what? Next to every Home Depot is a Lowe's. Next to every TJ Maxx is a Ross. So those types of markets will thrive next to each other whenever you're developing a brand, because but there also has to be a market, right? Um, if
Well,
you,
and it goes to your point about search too, is where's the best place to locate a shoe store? It's right next to the other ones. And that's because people are searching. So that is
yeah,
right when they're in the right part of the buyer cycle.
right. You go, there's, Baker's Square, right? You hear a lot of those. So there's like nothing but restaurants the whole way around, or markets. And so that way people can go and make a day, and like, oh, I don't want to be next competition. Guess what? Competition is actually really good for you. And
Yeah, absolutely. And
and
what we found too is quite often competitive advertising raises all boats. In many, many industries, if I advertise my brand, it'll actually increase sales for your brand and vice versa. And you're so right about that. So, one thing that's kind of interesting, and I like to always ask is, how has marketing changed over the last few years? And I think you started your business in 2017, so like decades and decades ago, more or less, in technology and marketing time.
right.
So what has changed over those decades?
Well, whenever I first came in, very few companies were brand focused. The brand focus really wasn't. So it was very product focused, and it was basically, here I am, here's the product. Not really speaking to the audience, but speaking to the product. Very A lot of companies lack their why, but also in the same token, these days we have more savvy customer base. I feel that people, with this digital age, we can educate ourselves incredibly quickly on value of products and services. So the the increase of our information age, I mean, you could be a child and literally start learning, quantum physics from watching YouTube videos. The types of information we have access to these days, uh, you know, has decreased the time it takes to educate. Even using Chat GPT, AI, predis.ai, another one.
Yep. Yep.
They have filled in a lot of time gaps. And anytime you start on a new job, or if you're in HR, or if you're hiring, whenever you're talking to someone, you're trying to figure out how long it's going to take from the time you hire them to onboard them and bring them up to at least 90% capacity of knowledge about what it is you do and flow and everything like that. So whenever you are working on projects now, you can decrease the amount of time it takes by prompting these AI platforms to get a quicker response on not only information but flow.
Mm.
It will literally break down the steps that you need to take on certain areas that you're focusing on, creating custom platforms. If you're coding and you're not using Chat GPT for your coding, and you're missing out, because it is shortening the amount of time that it's taking. I
Yeah.
started building custom plugins for my websites. I started building custom APIs for the apps that we're building. The currently building an app for the deaf community. And one of the issues was that we weren't registering people that were signing up. And well, I built a custom API that connected the app to the website so we could use the website for the registration. And it's been working out wonderfully. But building that, Chat GPT essentially helped me build that tunnel to connect the two things. So now
Yeah.
we're actually, we got first round approval on Apple and Google. So we're on phase 1B, and we're getting ready to, we're looking forward to rolling out a launch here in late summer, early fall, to really get our hands on it.
Yeah, that is fantastic. Congratulations. And so tell us about this application that you've been working on for the deaf. What's that all about, and how do you get involved in that?
Yeah, it was wonderful. About a year and a half ago, I started working with maybe it's about 2 years ago now. Started working with a gentleman out in Utah and building his design learning membership program. And so I build a lot of custom websites and work with the verbiage on the custom websites and those types of things, and being able to market those properly. And so after one of our meetings, he says, Travis, can you stick around? I got a really important question for you. And I said, hey, what's up, Todd? He says, my son was born deaf, and we're now at a stage in life and technology where I feel like the technology is there to create an app to help him communicate in real time. He said, well, we've done a lot of research, and I feel like we're there, or at least we can get there, really close to there. And I said, yeah, I can work with my development team. And we started last fall, and we're now in beta up on the major Play stores. So I can give Guy the links there, so that way he can get them up on the podcast.
Absolutely.
And I've learned so much, and working with the deaf community has really pushed me into public speaking, because now I understand that a lot of deaf people wish they could talk, and I don't want to squander any of my blessings. So I try to get out there and talk to people, and educate them and give them good info, good juju, and give them the right foot up. You mentioned I do mentorship, and to work with a lot of really cool businesses, and it's wonderful seeing the growth that people have. As and I tell people sometimes, it's maybe you're not in a place to afford me, but I may drop some nuggets while we're eating lunch. So I like to be able to really dive in and help people. So but that's
Yeah,
kind of
well, yeah, absolutely. I mean, and it sounds like what you've been doing for this this deaf app. I mean, wow, be able to do what you're talking about. That is awesome. So kudos to you, and we'll definitely put out some links that'll be able to help you support that. Yeah, thank you for that. So one of the problems that I've seen, and you have too, is what are the opportunities, or what are the benefits of doing well, even the challenges, I guess, of doing product marketing as opposed to customer focused marketing. And there's one other type there as well, and that is category focused advertising. We've done some interesting stuff where you have interesting analytics and what have you, where we're comparing a totally brand focused ad versus a product focused ad versus a category focused ad. And so tell us a little bit about that and how you address at least the product and consumer focused kinds of marketing.
Well, I think of product focused ads. If you think about the tire ads that you used to see in the newspaper, it's same thing. Basically they slap on a picture of the product. There's a number, there's a price on it. There's maybe it's a that maybe we'll use lawnmowers as an example. I feel like that that because I've seen so many diverse so then there's just the ad of the lawnmower, and maybe there's special placement, maybe it's a banner. I'm on a lawn and garden website. Okay, we'll kind of give it the parameters, right? Lawnmower ad on a lawn and garden website. I see one ad and it's just the price and the thing. Well, I go to another page, still on the lawn and garden website. I'm now seeing a maybe it's a zero turn. I've seen these ones, and maybe it's an animated ad, and you just, it's kind of like an aerial view, and you see just the lawnmower kind of trance like going around in circles on repeat. And so like that triggers something within me that even from the just viewing it, it's giving me a feeling versus showing me a price and a thing.
Yeah, and I like your point. Although the price is more of a the price ad is more of a I don't know if I would call that a product ad. And the reason why I'm going to push back a little bit here is we actually did some analytics on a what I would call a product ad without the price. It was, what are the features of the product? What do you get?
Yeah.
As opposed
value ads, you do value ads,
yeah,
right?
so and it was in and I can't tell you the industry because I don't want to, I can't, I'm under confidentiality, but it's a product focused ad, and it says it talks about the brand certainly, but then it says, and this is the product, and here's what the features are, and and the benefits to that product. Then they had a brand ad, and the brand ad was it was about positioning the brand, and certainly and not mentioning the product. It just mentioned the company name, and it basically said and here's kind of what the feelings are and the emotions are around the brand. And then the other one we did, or they did, and we tested as well, was what I call a category ad. So where they were talking about a whole new feature in the category. So it was clearly a tied to the brand, but it was like a whole new feature in the category, and not necessarily mentioning what the product was. So it was kind of like they called it a category ad. I think it makes sense to call it a category ad. It may actually be a different type of ad depending on what you're doing. And one of the things that was fascinating, at least in the short term, and within in the short term, let's say is 6 months. In the short term, the product ad actually did the best in terms of incremental sales. So where they were tying the ad to the brand, to the feature and the benefit of the product, and that actually increased their sales the most. Dollar for dollar, or GRP for GRP, that did better than the brand ad, and it did better than the category ad. Now, I will admit, maybe we weren't looking over a long enough period, but nevertheless, in that particular instance, we measured then the impact of those three kind of different themes in their advertising, and the product one is the one that turned out the best.
Well, and that could where you that could also go down to your keywords, right? If you are you putting in search terms, right? So if you're putting in search terms, I use a tool called SEM Rush. I don't know
Yeah.
and it's wonderful if you're a new marketer. They have certain terms that will trigger certain results. where it says like people are looking for maybe they're looking for information, maybe they're looking to buy, maybe, and there's certain search terms too that that can drive those. So if you're, maybe if they're looking for more informational, uh or if they're looking for, more informational, maybe they want more brand driven content.
Mm.
Whereas if they're looking for transactional product, they're looking for
Yeah.
product info. They want to, see get the deets, the descriptions, your value propositions, what makes you stand out versus your competitor. So
Yeah, I like your point about the impact of media on search, because one of the things I think a lot of marketers do wrong is they look at paid search kind of in an island. And in reality, paid search is one part of what the consumer does when they open up their browser. They either type it in the address bar, or they type it into the search bar, and then once they've done that, they get a handful of responses, whether they typed in xyz.com or just xyz. They get the links at the bottom, and then whether they click on the sponsored link or the organic link underneath that. That's totally consumer behavior. And one of the things that I think a lot of marketers do wrong is they don't really understand that it's the three things that have to be looked at together, and that search is it's kind of a response medium. It's kind of a call to action. It's not the initiating action. In very, very few cases is it the initiator. It's usually a response to something else that happened that triggered
it. I mean, at the simplest level, every website, app, technology, input, output, input, output. It's ones and zeros. That's input, output. And so what you looking at people's, again, you had mentioned consumer behavior. So what you put out and what it will generate a response, and you need to identify, and sometimes that response is to stop reading what you're putting out, and a lot of times that happens because you're putting out too much. And you don't feed a duck by throwing the loaf of bread at it. Right? You pull off a piece, maybe you toss it. Oh, there's loaf. Quack, 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 goes over each piece. And you can start, shoveling off bit by bit, bit by bit, bit by bit. I've started onboarding. I was onboarding a client, and I said, send me over any kind of marketing material you had. Guy, if he would have printed everything off, it probably would have been around 36 pages. He had a specialty, or like a shuttle service, or like a black car service. Shouldn't have been that. I mean, that much depth, and I mean, it was deep, like thick. Like it wasn't an outline. Somebody wrote this. God bless him. But I had to really scale down what it is, and I think he lost a lot of clarity of what he was trying to do along the way. So, if you're trying to focus on too many things, you don't really focus on any of them.
Yeah.
And a lot of, you can say that, really, but it comes down to like messaging. Like if your messaging is totally skewed, you need to be able to, and a lot of what I'm about to say will apply to like email marketing, right? So typically you're able to segment people into groups, right? And so I got a client that they did a Italian, it's small Italian store. They do specialty foods and those types of things. Well, one of the things they do is they sell wine juice. Well, the same people that want wine juice may not necessarily want the weekly newsletter. So, being able to segment those two groups. Another client, they deal in jet parts for private jets, right? So their messaging to mechanics is going to be different than their messaging to the owners of the fleets. So
yeah, absolutely. No, you're so right about that, and how to structure that message to each of the recipients or each of the decision makers that are going to be part of that decision. I think you're absolutely right. We talked a little bit about AI. Maybe we can dig a little deeper in there, because I don't know. I am just absolutely fascinated with this and how it already has. I was at a meeting of the AMA here in Atlanta, the American Marketing Association here in Atlanta, and everybody raised their hand when one of the panel members said, "So how many of you are using Chat GPT today?" Today. It was everybody. It was absolutely everybody. And I was amazed at how fast that has taken off. So tell us where you see that going and how you're thinking of using it.
So one, I'm very tactical in how I use it. I say that in like I'm being like super serious, but really I'm just trying to be very focused on what I ask it to do, because if you don't ask Chat GPT the right questions, you're not going to get the right answers. It's kind of like, if you start misspelling a bunch of words and whatever you're typing into Google, it's not going to put out the right answer. It's probably the best comparison that I have for that. But but being very clear in what you're trying to do, as I was trying to understand how I can build a plugin for the system that can do a thing, right? And it literally gave me a step-by-step. Apply for their dev program. Get once you're approved, go through the, check out the library, get the codes, start, connect it to your API, and double check the security between the two things. And it was just, I was like, just doing this research probably would have taken me 2 weeks.
Yeah
Easy, just the research. And now I can go, okay, this is already here. Here's what, so I can go to the client, here's where our hours are spent. This is what the protocol is looking like. So, these are things that Google wouldn't have given me information on. It doesn't understand normal speech patterns or normal thought patterns. And I'm interested in learning more about, so the kind of tailoring back to the deaf people app and the voice transcription technology that it uses. And so the engine of the app's really cool, but the engine behind it is really what dictates the accuracy. And so Google is actually getting ready to release their second model, which is called Palm 2. So right now they're on Palm 1. Palm 2 is so I forget what the P stands for, but it's basically an audio language model. And Palm 2 is going to have some AI to do machine learning and being able to to communicate kind of across the board, and being able to even, translations and such. So, we're really looking forward to getting our hands on that and implementing the, even with, so getting the AI and machine learning technology behind that software, then we can start flipping switches and open it up to with transcription. So if you were to go to France, you could then use this as the universal communicator, where it would transcribe what people say, and translate it. And then also you would be able to type something in, it can then say it through the app, and that you can have a conversation, and you can actually, learn what to say in real time. So that way, if you need to say it again, you've already heard it once. And as you use it, it gets smarter in being able to understand dialects whenever you're in different regions. I grew up kind of jumping rope across the Mason-Dixon line, between Maryland and Pennsylvania, and it was the soda and pop. So soda in Maryland, pop in Pennsylvania. They mean the same thing, as I'm saying, can I get a soda? Can I get a pop? And then you go out west, it's soda pop, right? So being able to understand, those types of things, it can really expand, who we communicate with.
I think you're right. I think and so this concept, I like what you're talking about, the concept of the Star Trek universal translator, or whatever it is. That's pretty impressive, I will admit. And it's the technology for AI and Chat GPT or Palm or Bard or whatever they all have out there. It is very impressive. And the funny thing is, it's going to explode, because it's, you can use yourself. It's kind of like the doomsday machine. I'm going to use myself to improve myself, to get to the next level, to where I can improve myself even faster. And it is going to be fascinating, because you're right. You can write apps it'll write the app for you, or at least give you, most of the work that you need to write the app. It's incredible.
And from having the whenever we were getting ready to submit the app for approval to Google and Apple, my developer came to me and says, Travis, we don't have anywhere to store the registrations. So whenever people sign up on the app, how do we get notified? And I said, well, I know our website has that functionality because I built it on WordPress, and it has the ability to register people. And I said, well, light bulb. Let's create. And my developer came back. He says, well, in that case, we need to develop a REST API. And the REST API is basically some code that allows whenever the app hits a button, then it triggers a link and to the website, and it then sets up a send receive for them to be able to communicate. And so I said, okay, let me see what I can come up with. And within 2 hours, I had some code, and my developer, he had brought on another developer that actually specializes in developing these REST APIs. And this guy, he was trying to sell me on his services. I said, I don't need you to sell me on your services. I said, I'm pretty sure I have this thing built. I need to verify some code. And I had already done some testing, and I just needed to figure out where to point the thing to, and
Yep.
he goes, that's what I would have built you.
Yeah, fantastic. Well, I tell you, it is amazing what it can do. That's for sure. So let me just, I've got two more questions for you. So, what do you see now as the new normal in marketing? What is the new normal?
And I've always said that it's building depth and value, in your brand, and having good message behind it. Um, More and more people want to feel like they're in a part of a community. Uh,
Mm,
there's a sense of disconnect and a sense of belonging in the same token. Whenever you do feel
mm,
connected, people are coming together for see causes, and so um, or causes and feelings, and um, Facebook has really cornered the market on so there's demographics, right? But Facebook has really cornered it on psychographics.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And psychographics really comes down to understanding people's behaviors, um, whether it's liking, buying patterns. They've they have one of the most robust advertising engines. However, it can sometimes be creepy because it's also AI and you don't realize it, and it's thinking about things that you would already like, and you may not even have said anything to anyone. Next thing you know, you're seeing the product on your screen and going, this, I didn't even say I wanted this, but this is what I actually wanted. um and it can be very odd for the consumer.
yeah, yeah,
uh I'm sure future generations will probably get more and more used to it as they are more, call it groomed, but they're groomed with technology from an early age.
yeah.
um
I think you're right about that. I mean, our kids. I mean, man, they've been on up, on the iPhones and the iPads, and I mean, there's so much. I mean, I'm pretty good at it, but I'm not as good as they are, and sometimes it's the little things that get frustrating. So they are so well groomed on it that that kind of stuff is just going to be the normal. One last question. So what advice would you give a new up and coming marketer?
oh network network network. um the book that really got me on my personal development journey was How to Win Friends and Influence People. I actually just sent this book to my little sister, as she's starting to get into some networking spaces. I'm trying to get her comfortable talking around people. It can be very difficult, especially for a young girl, to develop her confidence. But Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People was that step up book.
Mm,
And there's a whole chapter in there about man's best friend, and that's the dog. And the dog is always happy to see you. And that's literally how you have to act sometimes. Doesn't
yeah,
matter how you feel, your feelings don't mean anything. You have to be so happy to see everybody, um, and you make an impression, and really be not being genuine. You know, when you're having conversations with people, asking the right questions, Um,
Yeah.
finding out if people are even, not everybody's for you, right?
Mm,
So there are some people that you just can't talk to, and
yeah.
they're never going to talk to you for whatever reason. And you have to be okay with that. You have to be so okay with that that at some point they're going to want to talk to you, not the other way around.
Yeah, exactly. So, well, thank you for that. I agree with you. And yet, sometimes it's so hard to network, especially when you're working out of your home. You're not with people as much, and you just have to force yourself. And certain personalities, it's hard, but you have to force yourself to get out there and just be whoever it is, be their best friend for that conversation, and you never know where it will lead.
Well,
So,
there's also real quick. I'll leave them with a second bonus nugget for sticking around to the end. So there's a technique that I use, especially whenever I'm networking with my friends. And not that we're bad at networking, it's just that this gives us a second level of networking. Is we'll typically go through the people that we want to, or the companies that we see there that we want to connect with, and well, I'll give my list to my friend or my co-networker. They'll give me their list. And then there's a little game called that I like to play. It's called Two Kings. And so while you have your co-networkers, your co-king, you have their list. You're then trying to make the connection from them to them,
yeah, yeah. No, I like that. Yeah, absolutely.
and vice versa. So
And
then
that amplifies. I like that. That really amplifies.
it's a trampoline. It's a conversation
Yeah,
tramp, because
yeah,
now you're already met and you're at a higher level because
yep.
they've boosted you up, and you're already there.
Well, let me end there, and I appreciate it. That is definitely a good bonus, and thank you so much today for participating. And we'll get this out in the next couple of days, and go from there. Really appreciate it, and thank you again for participating. So, where can people find out more about you and your company?
Absolutely. You can go over to https:// trav.media. That's TRAV as in Victor .media. And you can also email me, Travis@trav.media, if you want to connect outside of here.
Fantastic. So trav.media, TRAV.media. And Travis, thank you so much. And otherwise, to the audience, please stay tuned for many other videos in this series of the backstory on marketing. And please visit marketingmachine.prorelevant.com to download the first chapter of my book and other valuable excerpts. And don't forget to sign up for more episodes from this podcast series. And if you liked this one, please rate it with 5 stars. Travis, thank you so much. Really appreciate it, and great to talk to you.
Thank you, guys.